What if I told you that Reborn as a Vending Machine reveals an objective truth about Japanese society? Alright, maybe not this one, but have you ever wondered why in the world Isekai even is a thing? Or better yet, why it's so popular? I mean, the fact that Isekai became its own genre and ended up being one of the most consumed ones in the anime community can't be just because. Sure, Isekai sells, and that's the main reason so many mangakas keep making them. Why does it sell so much? Really, have you ever thought about that? It's true that some people just want a simple, I'm gonna catch 'em all harem type isekai, myself included, but I genuinely believe there is something deeper behind this trend, a frustration with how our world works. In this video, I want to show you what this isekai trend says about the state of humanity and what we can do to fix it. All that with a bit of comedy, of course. Although isekai is everywhere these days, it actually had a humble beginning, just like everything else. Let me introduce you to Urashima Taro, one of the first Japanese stories about traveling to another world recorded in history, dating back to around the 8th century. The story follows a good-hearted fisherman by the name of Urashima. It doesn't look like Kirito though, isn't this supposed to be an isekai? Anyways, our guy is out fishing as usual until he accidentally catches a turtle. He lets it go, since turtles are supposed to live a long ass time and he didn't want to mess with its life expectancy just for a meal. But to our surprise, the turtle turns out to be one of the first Japanese waifus ever recorded in history. Who would have guessed? The waifu is actually the sea god's daughter, and the whole thing was a test to see if Urashima was worthy of becoming her husband. He sees this as an absolute win, who wouldn't, and the two of them sail to the palace of the dragon god at the bottom of the sea. Everything there is different, even time passes differently, so it's basically another world. The ending of this story absolutely sucks though. When he goes back home to visit his family, he realizes 100 years have passed, everybody's dust at this point, and he has no idea how to go back to his aquatic waifu. He opens a box she told him not to open and becomes dust too. So what can we learn from this? Never disobey your turtle waifu to go back to your family. Having shitty endings has been a trend for Japanese authors for quite a while for what I can tell, and somehow we went from Japanese folklore about a fisherman and a god's daughter to generic easy to draw Kirito wannabe who has a harem and a smartphone in another world. With all that being said, I believe that beneath all these cliches and self-insert stories lies an objective truth about how millions of people feel and a calling to change reality. Let's take a look at some cliche isekai for a moment. Death March, about a guy who basically lives at work, dies, gets transported into the world of the game he was developing. Reincarnated as a slime, about a guy who lived a normal life in the business world, then gets stabbed and is taken to another world. Jobless Reincarnation, a guy with a miserable life and very questionable character who gets reincarnated. And last but not least, Wise Man's Grandchild. The MC works like crazy, barely has a life until he's run over and reincarnated. Beyond what's considered a generic plot nowadays, there is something deeper happening in each one of these stories. A frustration with reality, and a desire to be truly free. In the short documentary published by Nowness, we see a Japanese man describing how he feels every day when he goes to work. With his simple words, he says, "It's almost midnight. When I walk into the office, little by little my body goes bad. I feel pain in my heart. Little by little I cannot breathe. But employees are so busy. They can't take care of me. Everybody's running the same way. They can barely see the outside. Working is existing. No one is waiting for me. The room is dark. Just sleeping and continuing day after day. A reality where many don't have a life outside of work, where working and meeting society's expectations has become the norm. Now let me ask you once again, what deeper reason is there for so many of us to want to go to another world? I'll give you the answer: to escape. Run away from the pain of dealing with difficult people every day, the pain of studying things we're not interested in, the pain of dedicating ourselves to a dream which isn't even ours to begin with, the pain of constantly living, doing, and studying things that have nothing to do with who we are. These are the things that make another reality so appealing to so many of us. Many isekai stories are created just for the sake of money and nothing else, but this desire to consume isekai after isekai, to insert ourselves in another world, often comes from a frustration with reality itself, with how things work in this world. This is why I believe there is value to understanding why so many people love generic isekai, and why you might be interested in the idea of living in another world to begin with. If you take a closer look at the hundreds of inventions that humanity has created throughout history, it's almost unbelievable. I mean, if I were sent back to the past to explain how electricity works, I'd probably say, "No idea, bruh, I just use it." Think for a moment about how many technologies you use every single day with without really understanding how they work. But when you look even closer to what humans have created, you realize that there is one specific thing that's very unique to our species. We are masters at creating weapons of mass destruction. In this short video published by Daily Mail News, a Ukrainian and a Russian soldier engage in a brutal fight. One of them ends up severely wounded, lying on the ground. As he's about to pass away, he says, "That's it, Mom. Bye. Let me pass away in peace. It hurts a lot. Let me go quietly. You were the best fighter. Please, let me die by myself." All that suffering because of old men who hate each other, who then send men who don't hate each other to kill one another. An endless cycle of hate. And even when a war does end, it's just a matter of time until another begins. Where beauty thrives, human greed hurries to defile it. This is something deeply rooted in human nature, and it makes me profoundly disappointed with reality. No wonder so many people wish to live in a faraway place. Let me ask you something. Are you satisfied with the way you live? Do you study what you actually want to study? Do you have a job? Are you satisfied with it? Do you speak the way you want to? Or you think following your heart would be too naive, too immature, or childish? Well, life is tough for most of us. Sometimes we have to do things we don't want to do, and that sucks. But a lot of times we underestimate just how much freedom we actually have. Many of us have built such a strong narrative in our minds that we don't even try anymore. We don't take risks. We don't believe. You see, I believe that life is, objectively speaking, meaningless. I think that from a universal point of view, there is no absolute value in anything we do. For me, the meaning of all things is what they mean to you and me, and nothing else. I respect the different faiths, but I myself have no spiritual faith whatsoever. I don't believe there is a second chance, another life. Maybe you do, and that's completely fine. Maybe there is one. I hope it's a good one. But let's play a little game for a moment. Imagine this, even if just for a second. Life is meaningless, and there is no afterlife. Once you die, everything stops for you. You no longer take part in anything, and all you did becomes just one of the countless things that have happened in this universe. In such a reality, would it make any sense to live in a way you don't want? Because if life is meaningless, then there is no right or wrong way to live, objectively speaking. Because in the end, none of it really matters. Of course, maybe you believe life has an objective meaning, maybe you're even religious, and that's fine. What I mean is, if you're always living in a way you don't want to, and you've already given up on trying to reach your ideal reality, then why are you living? If your life has no meaning to you, why are you here? And this is why I used to love Isekai so much, because I was frustrated with my life. And I'm not gonna lie, from time to time I still wish I could live in a better reality where pain and social pressure is no longer a thing. But the more I risk and do what I wanna do, the happier I feel about my life. I no longer feel like I always need to be watching or reading a story where I can imagine myself going to another world, because I'm already trying to build the world I want to live in. So if you think the life you want is childish or immature, I ask you this, according to who? Your own mind? Your family? This may sound a little cliche, but seriously, believe in your dreams, sacrifice things, try, even if just a little, but for no means should you give up, because the happier a person is with their life, the less they'll wish to be isekai'd. What are you running away from? If you're running from something, of course. Why do you feel the need to escape? And what can you do about it? No matter how childish or unrealistic it may sound, do it. I realize that when I am unhappy with my life, Isekai feels like a refuge. But when I start fixing my life, Isekai becomes secondary. Because even while struggling, I know that back in the real world, I'm living the way I want to. Listen, I love a good old generic Isekai. I know most of them are trash, but boy, I love my trash. And boobs and overpowered MC aside, I believe we can learn something essential about our own existence from these trash Isekais. In the end, we all want to be free. And what can you do today that could eventually set you free? Do you know it? Then do it, even if just a little. And if you don't know what it is yet, you can start by searching.